It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome in live from the Working Man's Beach. I am merely the Great P-Man. Welcome to you on the midweek edition of the Patrick Johnson Show, where Philip the Ref Pilkington is back at our Radio Ranch studios and is here with us. That's right, ladies. Jay Sunholter today. We'll talk college football and some of the other news going around that sport with Sonny Sunholter, ECU football alum and ESPN college football analyst. But first, we say hello to Pilk. So, Pilk, we made history last night. We were part of history. Did you know that? I didn't realize this.
No, what history were you a part of?
Well, I don't know if we were part of history. Well, no, it was historical. I'm being told it was historical. Apparently, the R.J. Felton, Steph Curry-like midcourt shot was an all-time bad beat. And, I couldn't believe it went in. And I just thought they were going to let the time run out. You know, like, I knew there was a discrepancy in the shot clock, but sometimes you just kind of let these things, run out. So, because everybody, they weren't East Carolina wasn't fouling at that point. It was done. The game was finished. We were done with the game. The verdict was in. And they, of course, put whatever it was, 0.7. RJ got it, released it now. I mean, we could go back and Zapruder film it, and did he really get it off if you ran? Because I think there's so much confusion. I don't know if they hit as soon as he got the ball, did they start it on time? But he got the shot off on time. He was halfway down before the thing went red and went zeros. And RJ, who takes that shot routinely as part of his pregame warm-up, in fact, he took one from about the same spot before he went back to the locker room prior to the anthem and missed it. And I said in my mind, RJ may make that shot tonight. Little did I know. And so when it went in, I was unaware of – I had seen on where North Texas was the favorite. I did see that, but I had no idea what the point total was or any of that stuff. And I thought for a brief second, but I didn't say it. I said, well, that may have just cost some people some money, but I wasn't sure. And apparently it did. The real degenerates like Pilkington and Dom and whoever else.
I'm going to tick some people off right now. People are not going to be happy when they hear this. Like, they're legit going to be ticked. Shot clock violations. By rule, the game clock, does not stop until the official blows his whistle, puts his hand up, and acknowledges the shot clock violation. Now, I was listening on radio, obviously, because I was in the studio, but if the official did not blow the whistle prior to the clock striking zero, even if there was a 7/10 second differential, they should have not returned to the clock. So I'm not saying they shouldn't have, but my point is the officials could have ignored it.
You just said they shouldn't have.
Well,
if that is the rules, according
here's
to
the thing.
what
I don't
you
know. Maybe he
understand,
blew his hand, but what I'm saying is maybe he blew his whistle. I don't know.
Remember.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I was watching. But however, had the officials chose to ignore the shot clock violation, which they can't ignore it, but ignored that. I didn't blow my hand up.
Yeah. Right.
Then they shouldn't have done it. And the reason why I know this, I was watching a game earlier in the year, and it was
well,
at
you
like
know this
4
because
to
you're the
5.
ref.
Well, yeah, but we didn't actually do shot clocks in high school. But there was a game where it was at like 4.5, 5 seconds, and they said, too much time ran off the clock. And they said, it should have been at 4.2. We stopped it at 2.8 or something. And they went back to actually when the official put his hand up in the air for a violation, and it ended up being like 2 or 3/10 second less. Didn't really matter because, like I said, this game was at 4 or 5 seconds left in the contest. But for the ECU game, had they taken their sweet butt time, I'm just saying, people might be ticked off. I'm just giving you the facts. That's what the rule book says.
I don't think there was I don't think there was a titanic amount of money that shifted. But I think just, if somebody was really following North Texas, they probably would have taken the under.
Last year's game was 60-59.
Yeah. So it would have made sense to have taken the so yeah, maybe the degenerates, people you're hanging out with, they would have they would. Who is the person that we think is a real degenerate? We probably don't need to say, actually. Isn't there somebody who does some work for us tangentially related to the station, but not really for the station? Perhaps works for another entity that is involved with the station.
Another entity.
Perhaps works for,
I know someone who that I talk to regularly work-wise. It may not be on the guest list. I think we're thinking of two different people.
I think, but no, you've told me this before. Maybe I can't remember if you've told me on air or off air. So I don't want to say.
Off air, but I'm not picturing who you're thinking of.
I don't want to besmirch the name of this individual who.
No, because we're thinking of two different.
May or may not have appeared on another program. I don't know. So, all right.
All right, you got to text it to me because when you say it, I'm gonna have a light bulb moment. But
I don't know the guy's name. I just think I mean I'd know it if you said his name. I've heard of him.
No, I don't think he. I mean, he posts a little action here and there, but so do I, and so does Igo. Just here and there. Obviously,
well, who's the real degenerate
stuff,
then?
But we'll do the NFL.
Is Dom the degenerate? Is that who I'm thinking of?
There's this ongoing joke that Scooter told everybody that Dom's a degenerate, and I think Igo told everybody that too. But I think that was the big joke. It was this running joke that Dom's a degenerate for the sake of the air. The same reason that you guys, joke at Michael for his shenanigans, but yeah, no.
Well, no, Michael's shenanigans are truthful. There's no joke there. It's only funny because it's true.
Yeah, it's all in good fun when we just bag on that. I know people that gamble way more than Dom does.
So how about that? If you could take anything from last night's frustrating loss, it's the bad beat.
And at least you didn't lose money on the game, unless you did. But if you're ticked off the Pirates' loss, there's some poor.
There's a chance you didn't bet. Probably it might have been somebody that did. I don't know. That's one though. I just knowing the teams and knowing North Texas's great ability to dictate pace. Who knows though?
The weird thing about that game, Patrick, that you mentioned, and you're right, their ability to dictate pace showed up in the first half, and ECU was winning. And then it was like the second half, it picked up. I mean, it wasn't like it was like this back and forth track meet, but it kind of felt a little more like a normal basketball game. And North Texas was the one that looked better in the second half. Like we beat them at their game, and they beat us at ours. It was weird.
From about the 10-minute, 8-minute mark in the first half till about the 8-minute mark in the second half, ECU played really, 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 especially really great to end the first half. But played. Was leading and had answers and was playing well enough. You felt like they could win if they could just make plays. But I do remember saying to Cy at the time of the 8-minute timeout, media timeout, I said, boy, there's, it doesn't seem like it, but there is a lot of time still left in this game. And by golly, Miss Molly, there was. Pirates were up 33-27 at halftime. Lost at 69-60. Atten Wright was remarkable. And, what's interesting about North Texas, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, is their top 6 scorers hit the portal or not in the program. They lost their top 6 scorers. And so they replaced it. And talking to Ross Hodge before the game yesterday, I kind of said, you had to replace a lot of guys. And he said, they were really meticulous about how they went about looking to see who was available and kind of what their pedigree was. They wanted people that, they had familiarity with, but came from winning programs and that kind of thing, or had come from success. And they got old guys. They get old and stay old. And that's what they did. They had some veteran guys. Wright was one of them. The guy Walker got 4 offensive rebounds in the second half that led to the 2 3-point hits. Feel bad for Mike Schwartz, not only because they lost, but also because Coach was under the weather. And, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Darren was telling me, just like his mannerisms and stuff, you could tell on the bench, he just, I hope he can take the road trip.
Yeah, he was really not feeling well. He was up. Anyway, so Riley Davis, one of the assistants, had to step in and coach Schwartz's stead as far as the post-game obligations. This is what Riley Davis had to say. In fact, he talked about what went wrong late for the Pirates.
Man, what sticks out is that we had a missed. They got an offensive rebound on a free throw. That's killer. We gave up the first 3 of the second half just because guys couldn't get on the same page.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and we're going to have to watch film. I don't think is anything complicated other than guys just couldn't get quite matched up. We gave up the corner 3, and then we had a baseline OB. They got a layup. Nobody was guarding it. We didn't even get matched up. So, we had a couple just communication errors. And then at the end, man, we couldn't get a rebound. They just kept getting O-board after O-board. And they're tough, man. They're disciplined. They're tough. They do a great job. They do a tremendous job. And, we felt like we played together in the first half. One thing that was a little disappointing is in the second half when we hit that adversity, our body language, probably me included, went a little south, and we've got to fix that.
Yeah.
We've got to stay connected. That's just this season. But anyways, yeah.
It's an interesting comment there that he thought the body language, he said even in his own, he thought went a little awry. That's interesting. Very interesting to me.
He's telling him how it is, though. I like it.
Look, I credit him that, yeah. Coach Riley Davis on what ECU could do a better job of.
Those little tiny things that over time, is 1 point away from being a double-digit win for them. Over time, these little minimal things, they add up. But then again, it's a couple things from going our way, but it's on us. Like we had some fouls at the end. We can't – I'm the worst. I get mad at the ref. But, we're making undisciplined fouls, without a doubt. Just some reach downs whenever they go up. We work on keeping our hands back, keeping our chest on them, just making them finish over the top. Because we know they shot fake. We talked a lot about it. They shot fake. They pivot. They did a great job. They got the free throw line. They did their job, and we weren't disciplined there. And that was a big piece. We only shot 10 free throws. That's not good enough. We're trying to make 20. And they shot 25.
Yeah, that was the other kind of anomaly in the game. The free throw shooting for East Carolina was not very good, obviously. I have an article up. I don't have the stats up. I can tell you this. They did North Texas, no free throw attempts in the first half, 0. They attempted as the road team, attempted all 25 of their free throws from the line in the second half. All 25, 19 of 25, but all 25 came in the second half. I don't think I've ever seen that. Pirates shot 5 in each half, 4 of 10 for the night, and you just can't have that.
No, it's weird. These 2 home conference losses have been like the only 2 games the free throw shooting's been subpar. Most nights it's like, man, the free throw shooting was good. If we could shoot from everywhere else, like from the charity stripe, it'd be a pretty good night. And then last night, the free throw shooting's rough. The 3-point shooting statistically looks good, but if you take away RJ, you're 2 of 8. 25% ain't getting you many places.
But I still think you can't turn to last night and say, all right, well, the shooting cost us. Didn't help.
No,
but nobody's going to shoot great against North Texas. It's not. Really solid. And to me, what ECU didn't do was the things like get the rebounds. They just didn't make winning plays. North Texas did. This is Riley Davis on the Pirates' struggles to do just that, rebound the basketball.
Obviously, I haven't watched film yet, but it seemed like so many of their O boards came there at the end in that stretch.
Yeah,
I mean,
little scramble ones too,
yeah.
just kind of like somebody was there, CJ or whoever for ECU.
And they had, they had 11 second chance points. Honestly, I would have thought it'd be a little bit more than that, but that's still, I mean, that's 11 points.
Yeah.
We only had 8. But, the guys, they fought so hard at Memphis. We still expected to win. You always expect to win. We fought hard the first, 20 minutes. We just didn't open up the game right, and they got easy points. And to start the second half, we didn't open up the game right is what I meant, sorry. And they just got that easy 3, and, man, it was killer. It was killer.
The other thing that I really thought was needs to be stated, and I think Steven Igo tweeted this out, but you're looking at an ECU team that, and it goes beyond, it's been every opponent. South Florida technically had a few extra days to get ready for ECU. Now, ECU had a few extra days to get ready for South Florida because that was the conference opener. And they were at home. But, I mean, you still had extra time to get ready for the opener. That's just a fact. And then the next 3 opponents have all been coming where they've had extra time as they get ready to play ECU. FAU is coming off some extra days where the Pirates came in, played, in other words, had less prep time. But these last 2, they've had just a day of prep time to get ready for Memphis, who's obviously one of the top teams in the country. And when they're right and playing well are certainly a second weekend team. And then I think North Texas is probably the second best team in the conference. That's what I think. Not the flashiest, not the prettiest, but they are the second best team in the conference, in my opinion.
I think they're the second best for sure basketball team. I want to say South Florida might be a smidge more talented, but I think everything they've had going on, they've just kind of struggled to get it together. But yeah, I think
I'm not talking about talent. Yeah. I'm not talking about whose record is what right now. I'm talking about the old-fashioned.
And I agree, 100%.
Looking at them in person last night, eyeball test, seeing them on film coming in, they're the best, second best team. And I'll say this. They will get hosed because they have no more quad 1 opportunities till the conference tournament, maybe.
Yeah. No, you're right.
They almost have to run the table.
Yeah.
And even that includes maybe even winning the conference tournament to get in. But I would want no part of them. I'll tell you what Penny's thinking right now. Gosh, I hope somebody knocks them off before we have to play them in the conference tournament.
Yeah.
I'd want no part of that team out in Texas. They're at Fort Worth. They may get some people to show up if they're playing well.
Yeah.
And they know they're playing Memphis. I would not want any part of that. I mean, the way their guards play, the style they play, the toughness they display.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the reason I even bring up the South Florida thing is because, like I said, I think just because South Florida maybe on paper has the ability to reach a higher ceiling than North Texas. But right now, like you said, I mean, I think North Texas is closer to Memphis than they are to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed it by going into the FedEx Forum and playing well. And I know you can say, well, you went there and played well. But, yeah, I mean, I think they really went there and really hung with Memphis.
Well, Wright didn't score in that game. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah, and they lost 68-64.
Right.
To a top 20 team.
Yeah. All right, we'll turn our attention to football. Jay Sunhaller will join us. We'll talk about the college football playoff, some other news coming out of the world of college football. Get a reaction point or two from Sonny from the bowl game, East Carolina winning. Also a big thing coming up a week from Friday that ECU is organizing. That will be kind of an autograph signing, meet and greet, social thing with the football players and the coaching staff from the bowl game. And we talked to Ryan Robinson. I did last night about doing the show from there. So we're working out those details. That would be a week from Friday. All right, stay tuned. We've got the one and only Jay Sonny Sunholder. Stand by, ladies. Sonny is next.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Ready? Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
Patrick Johnson Show continues here on this 15th day of January. Jay Sunholder on the phone with us, ESPN college football analyst. He was also part of the broadcast for the bowl season radio network, including the Military Bowl. We'll talk to him about that, but we say good afternoon to Jay Sonny Sunholder, who joins us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Sonny, how are you?
I'm good. I'm cold, but I'm good. How are you doing?
I know you're cold because even if it's like 60-ish degrees, you get cold. 65 degrees, you're chilly. So I can imagine you at 70, you're chilly. Yeah, you're
usually wearing a jacket or a sweatshirt.
Yes. So I know you're probably about to be an ice cube right now. It's not good for you. I have short sleeves on right now today. But I'm in the toasty confines of the working man. Well, I'm in the toasty confines of the working man's beach studio. I'm considering turning on the fire because it is getting a little chilly in here. All right, Sonny, FBS coaches have unanimously approved a 10-day transfer portal window. This happened Tuesday. The proposal would have players have the window from January 2nd through the 12th to enter the transfer portal, eliminating both the December and April windows. The NCAA has to approve this. If they do, it would go into effect in the 25-26 season. What do you think? Is that this would obviously help with bowl game rosters? It wouldn't necessarily help with opt-outs. Guys could still opt out, but they don't necessarily opt out by getting in the portal. They say, maybe I'm opting out, and that's the tip that they're going to the portal. What do you think of this? You talk to a lot of coaches about what's going on as you make your way through the season. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think this is a huge step into cleaning up just a huge mess. And, coaches aren't going to, probably talk truthfully about the portals and NIL and just the way college football has turned. They're not going to say it out loud as much, but down, in between them, this has been just shaking up the whole world of college football and recruiting and made their life and their recruiting just impossible. Roster management is just destructing rosters because there's so many windows and guys can leave, basically whenever they want at some of the worst times. So the coaches were all together down in Charlotte. The National Coaches Convention was down in Charlotte this weekend and into the early part of this week. So you had a feeling when they were all together, they're going to propose change. And I think that is a very fair change to have that one window, limit the amount of days, and limit it to one time instead of two times where it is right now in December and April, because I think that's fair for the coaches because you're giving them some of their, power back, some uniformity as far as the schedule, and just limits the craziness of players changing rosters and jumping to different schools at different times of the year.
The other thing, you mentioned this happened at the meeting in Charlotte for the AFCA. They had 60 coaches in attendance. That's the most they've had in a long, long time. And so the recruiting calendar was discussed. The transfer portal was discussed, as we've noted. And if this is approved, it comes down to what the NCAA is ultimately going to do. It will not have any impact. There will still be a 10-day window this year in the spring. I believe that is the 16th through the 25th in April. So there's still going to be an April transfer window out of spring ball this year. Again, these changes would go into effect 25 and 26. So how would you guess the NCAA plans to react to this? And, I mean, obviously, the way the NCAA is going to react is not going to be based on what the coaches really want. Will any group of players band together and threaten to sue? That's what it comes down to.
Right. I mean, and that's probably really where it's going to come down to what's the biggest threat. And who knows right now? I mean, is it more coaches and that threat of coaches banding together, and they've already had this vote, obviously, or is it the threat of a lawsuit from players? So I think that's TBD because you don't know what's going to happen on the player side. But, I mean, I think overall something has to be done, and NIL is a completely different subject. But with the portal window right now, I mean, whoever's on any roster. So, for example, East Carolina, the portal when it's over in this, over the holidays, that doesn't mean this is your final roster going into the fall. It could be a completely different roster after spring practice, and that's just impossible for coaches to manage to recruit. And honestly, I just think it's terrible with guys jumping around that many times. I mean, I'm old school. I liked it the way it was in the past. But if you're going to have this portal, you need to limit it to one time so everybody is aware of, hey, this is the one time we can jump and you're going to have a roster that's somewhat set, even though, there's still a lot of variables and a lot of people that can make changes. At least you have it at one time.
ECU football alum and ESPN college football analyst, ESPN Plus college football analyst Jay Sunalder, back with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Chip Patterson from CBS Sports was on with Adam Gold today on his show, which you can hear at 1 o'clock every day and statewide beginning at noon on 94.3. The game, you can hear it from 1 to 3. So Gold had Patterson on today. Chip Patterson says, Sonny, that the amount of people in the portal, it's not quite as talent-rich as maybe it was last year. To me, what that tells me, and I kind of read a recap and got a recap of the interview. I didn't listen to it firsthand. To me, what that tells me is the really deep talent was either on a playoff team and is just going to stay in that situation, or they probably more likely have such a good deal with the NIL where they are, and it may even be a multi-year deal for all we know. For some of these guys, that's why some of the talent, the true talent, and the moving around that we saw at a huge degree last year has probably not been, at least according to Chip Patterson, as prevalent this year. In other words, it's not as talent-rich a portal or talent-deep a portal, perhaps, as this time last year.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I agree with you, and what he was getting at there, because I think schools, year one, it was just crazy, and it still is. But I think schools are doing a better job with the contracts and also just with their roster retention and maybe paying guys more that are, threatening to leave or have an opportunity to leave for more money. But I also think, as crazy as it is, 1 year, let's just say, for numbers' sake, there's 2,000 kids in the portal. I would tend to think the next year it would be a little bit less, just because not everybody's going to completely jump again. And I know those numbers won't add up, but I just think, you're not going to have the same amount of kids do it every year. I think naturally it would probably be a little bit less, just because kids probably wouldn't jump again, even though some of those do. But I think the roster retention piece is part of it. And you're right, teams in the playoffs right now playing, there's the NFL factor. So there's a lot of different variables, but I would say the roster retention just, from year one to year two, it's going to be a little bit less anyways.
Yeah, certainly in certain programs that are deep pocketed, it certainly will. Let me ask you this: when you go back and kind of look at the recruiting calendar, what tweaks would you make to it? I mean, I think the February signing day, which still exists, is passé. It seems like in certain circumstances, the December signing day is almost, I don't know, December's become insane for these coaches. Especially if they're going to a postseason in any way, shape, or form. So what do coaches say with the recruiting calendar that they would like to see happen, or what would you like to maybe see happen with the recruiting calendar?
Well, the two areas they talk about are they're right now in December when their season's over, they're getting ready for bowls. This is one of their busiest times of the year in December, and they want to get the recruiting calendar, that signing day, out of December. So that's the biggest thing, is they don't want to be traveling or having players come on campus. You're getting ready for a bowl game and everything, and December has just turned wild because of this new window. The other thing is it's turned into a year-round aspect of recruiting. And, you hear the talk about how it's actually easier to coach in the NFL because at least you get a couple set times off. There's like a couple designated times off where they can't work, so you can at least have vacation. These guys in college now have no vacation because it's all year round, and you're bringing in guys in the portal for visits just basically any time of the year when you used to have breaks, because everything's so fluid and wide open. So I think that's the two things: to stop the madness in December, and then at least have some periods where there is some times off where you can have some balance of a life. Because right now, if you talk to coaches, it's easier coaching in the NFL than in college.
Yeah. Jay Sunholder. That's right, ladies. Jay Sunholder with us. Sonny, do you need to go, or could you hang through a break, or do we need to go ahead and wrap with you here shortly?
No, I'm
okay.
Good.
I'll tell you what, I want to get into some ECU stuff. I want to get into the playoff and the national championship and all of that. So we'll do that. We're going to hold Sonny over for the next segment. It won't be as long, but I do want to hold him over just so we can stay on schedule with the breaks. Philip will have a 94.3 The Game Sports Flash update, 2-minute drill for you, and a Pirate report, and then we'll come back with Jay Sunholder after the commercial break. But right now, here is the ref.
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, basketball fell to North Texas last night. They're going to try and rebound over the weekend when they head out to Wichita to take on the Shockers of Wichita State. That game can be heard right here on 94.3 The Game and our sister station, 107.9 WNCT at 6:30. It will be just after 7 o'clock tip. The women's basketball team will be in action tonight. You can check them out on ESPN+. They travel down to the Queen City to take on in-state rival Charlotte. There is some football news today. ECU has officially hired Teron Williams to be the cornerbacks coach. This will be Coach Williams' second stint with the Pirate program. He was the director of player development in the 2019 and 2020 season. He spent the last 2 seasons as the cornerbacks coach at Old Dominion. Carolina Hurricanes will be back in action tonight at a little awkward time, 6 o'clock on TNT, as they travel up to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. In NFL news, Deontay Johnson, who was waived earlier this week by the Houston Texans, has been reclaimed off waivers by the Baltimore Ravens. He will not be able to join the team until February 10th, which is the day after the Super Bowl. However, it's kind of ironic the way the Ravens claimed him, considering they waived him back on December the 23rd. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show, and we'll have more with Jay Sunhalter on the other side.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Taking the rage out of your drive home.
You just cut me off! But it's no big deal.
Patrick Johnson on 94.3 The Game and the new IBX Media app.
All right, Jay Sunhalter, good enough to hang over through the break with us here. CBS Sports put out a list of what they thought the top bowl games of the bowl season were. And they had the Military Bowl, which you called for bowl season radio, Sonny, ranked as the 10th best bowl. It reads, how could a rivalry matchup during bowl season not live up to its billing? 8 players were ejected. There you go. An official was left with a cut across his face after a brawl in the final seconds. Pirates running back Rajay Harris torched the Wolfpack for 220 yards on the ground, including an 86-yard score with 1:33 to play that nullified NC State's 14-point turnaround in the fourth quarter. So when you lay it out like all of that in that capsule or synopsis, yes, it was very exciting if you describe all that going on. You called the game, obviously, East Carolina. I thought I had somebody ask me last night that I'd not talked to in a while, do you really think ECU deserved to win the bowl game? And I said, well, yeah, because I really do believe that ECU, by and large, outplayed NC State. They were a lot more I thought, focused and fired up than NC State, even though the Wolfpack did make a great comeback. So you called the game. We haven't talked to you on air since then. What are some of the things that stood out in that matchup?
Well, I mean, I agree with you completely. I mean, ECU won the game, and they deserved it because at the end of the day, they outplayed them. I mean, they made the play of the game. I mean, basically, pretty even ball game, swings back and forth until Rajay's, touchdown run. And then the defense had to make a stop there. So I just think the victory was huge for East Carolina and bad for NC State. Look at NC State. They had to fire their coordinator after that game. They've made a lot of staff changes because of the loss. And I thought
had a lot of guys get in the portal.
Yeah, and I thought the Pirates winning that game forced that to happen. There's a lot of pressure on Dave Doran going 6-7 with a bowl loss to East Carolina is a lot different than 7-6 with a bowl win over ECU. So that turned up the heat in Raleigh, and I just think for Blake Harrell being named the head coach, you get a huge bowl victory and your fans storm the field. I mean, that is the perfect send-off with momentum into the offseason. And I think there are points in that ball game that ECU played awesome. Then there are points where, State came back and really overtook control of the ball game. It would have been very easy, after they took control to lose that game. And ECU found a way to get the big run when maybe things are looking bleak and then get the stop on defense. And I just think that can do a lot for confidence, and that can change the mindset of a program in the offseason. And, guys coming in to the program, they're going to see that game and see that victory and want to be a part of something special that, Coach Harrell's trying to build.
Jason Alder, ESPN football analyst, ESPN Plus, ESPN, joining us here. All right, ECU alum. Sonny, let me ask you this. The national championship game, or the college football championship game, is being played Monday night. We got Notre Dame. We got Ohio State. Buckeyes at last check now 8.5-point favorite. So Notre Dame's taking some money there. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't see this being – I'd be shocked if this were a blowout. I think this is going to be a kind of a nip and tuck, entertaining kind of game. I think there'll be a lot of swings in it. I think obviously Ohio State has a ton of offensive talent. I think Notre Dame may be the better coach team. How do you kind of see things going between these two storied programs on Monday night?
Well, I agree. If people out there want to bet, I would bet the under. And I think it's going to be a close game because I think this is going to be a defensive battle. Notre Dame plays real defense. They're going to keep everything in front, and there's kind of a blueprint on how to slow down Jeremiah Smith, which Penn State, in that ball game, Notre Dame played great defense, but they saw Texas what they were able to do to slow down Ohio State. So I think Notre Dame's defense is going to be fine. And I think both offenses are going to have some struggles trying to score. I don't think this is going to be a shootout. Ohio State's defense is great. The one concern for Notre Dame is they do have some injuries on the offensive line that are kind of coming up now, but Ohio State has injuries up front that they've kind of had to deal with for a month. So I think those are similar, but I think this is going to be a fourth quarter game. I think there is something special about Notre Dame. I think they can win this game. I mean, obviously the way Ohio State's been playing, they're the favorite. They should be, and they have the firepower, but that doesn't mean they're going to win this game. And I would give Notre Dame a good chance, to come away with an upset of this one.
All right, Sonny, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. Know you got a busy schedule with some basketball stuff coming up, so best of luck with that, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Sonny.
There he goes. That's right, ladies. Jason Alder. He's gone now, but we have Phil. We have Phil still. Phil Kington.
Sound like you were calling Phil
that.
Still.
No, we have Phil still.
I know what you're saying.
Still have Phil.
Yeah, I
Yes,
hear what
I know
you're
what
saying, but I'm telling you what it sounded like.
I understand. All right, Sunholder, great to have him on. Good call there, Pill, getting Sonny on. Nice to have him on with us today. All right, we're going to hit a break. We'll come back and wrap up business today here on the PJ Show. It is 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and the IBX Media app. Some more thoughts from last night's game and more when we come back here on the PJ Show.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed, meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
This holiday season, get the gift you really want at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Drive a new Corolla, just $229 a month, or a new Tacoma, only $329 a month during the holiday trade-up at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job.
Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Unwrap a new Toyota for the holidays at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $329 a month. Trade up and save at Greenville Toyota.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
We have you covered with all the ECU news and beyond that you need for the drive home. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
So I guess for the first time in 7 years, is it D1 Baseball or Baseball America that didn't have ECU in the preseason poll, Bill?
D1 Baseball.
First time in 7 years they were not in the preseason poll. To me, that I've had this discussion with a lot of different people. I think the preseason polls, which have always been a little sus. I mean, it's mainly content at this point. A flashpoint to have a conversation, or in our business, hot takery or what have you. But to me, it doesn't really matter. It's nice. And I'm just anxious to hear what Coach G is going to say. Usually it's rat poison when we talk about the rankings before the first pitch. Now, will he change his tune? We're not respected. I understand you got to say things to rally the locker room or keep the clubhouse focused or whatever. I get all that, but I just think that'll be an interesting thing. To me, they should love this because it obviously instills a chip on a shoulder for a program that is a top 10 caliber program. But I mean, I just think polls in general with the portal. I mean, you've got 31 new players into the ECU program in baseball. I mean, if we went back and looked at the preseason polls, and we may do that one day here in the next, this week or something, I think that'd be fascinating to look at the preseason poll in both football and basketball. Football to see where they ended up, basketball to see where the team.
Football, there was like 12 teams that were ranked and that didn't finish the year ranked, and half which didn't make bowl games.
So and UNC football, as we know, has been a perennial. Oh, we're going to put them in the top 15, and then they
stayed in the year with a losing record, and they started the year
right.
ranked.
Right.
So,
yeah. Exactly.
I think too what a lot of people forget when they see the preseason polls, it's where you are now. This is not by any means, and not that it would matter anyways, but it's not a projection of where they think you're going to end the season. When you do have a lot of roster turnover, especially now, the two teams that, and I'm not going to sit here and say I know anything about them, two teams I would have just expected ECU to get in over were Nebraska and Troy. I did not know that they were going to be good baseball teams. Sure, I'm just not going to sit here and act like I did.
Right.
But who knows? The guys who study this know more than we do. And what they're saying right now, I think there's a lot of question marks in this ECU clubhouse. And it's not a matter of, none of these question marks I think are really an if, it's just a matter of who. Because there's a lot of great names and there's a lot of great pieces, but you don't have the Trey Savages.
You don't know what they're going to look like yet. Yeah.
So I think this is, in the same reason that you'll see, hey, here's the projected national championship odds. And it doesn't always relate to the team who's preseason number one, because who's preseason number one is saying they're the best right now, and sometimes that's just your older teams or your veteran teams, and you realize the younger teams with higher ceilings will eventually pass them. It just means that it's where you are right now, and who gives a crap where you are in February? It's where you are in June.
So much of what we what you do in sports betting, I know we've talked about that a lot today, is especially if you're doing future stuff, you're going to say bet on the Masters. Can you get a player at a really good odd? Because as it gets closer to the event, the odds are either going to decrease, or if they're really good or they're a really good team, they're going to increase. Mole was telling me the other week that I guess Alabama was something like plus 1,600 to win the basketball championship.
Yep.
You're not going to get Alabama in 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever it is from now. 2 months. You're not going to get those same odds at that time when they start the NCAA tournament. So if you feel really strongly Alabama's a good team, you would bet on Alabama. So I mean, same thing as kind of what you're saying there. This is, there's a little projection out, but I mean, a lot of it is what's the snapshot right now from what we know? What's the best available information? I would think in basketball, I would really, because look, we talked to a lot of coaches in basketball, obviously. There's still coaches and teams that are still, they're starting to kind of gel. They're starting to kind of coalesce a little bit. And it's just taken this long to get, with the roster turnover you see in all these sports, it's just taken this long to get people together. RJ Felton, who was fabulous last night, 30 points. And has played great the last 3 games. He had a little bit of a slump. It was a multiple week slump. So even if you have guys back, you just don't know how, what's going to happen if a guy's going to hit a drought, have a slump of a streak where they don't play well. I mean, it's inevitably it's going to happen. You can't forecast. You don't know where injuries play into it. So, it gives a little fuel. It gives a discussion point. It gives fans a chance to, beat the chest of being disrespected. But I think the program's been pretty well respected the last several years, especially by the committee and the NCAA committee. They've gotten some pretty favorable seating, I think, the last several, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could say, well, there's somebody at the NCAA selection levels trying to stymie baseball. They're not.
No, they're not. And, the other thing, and I think Pirate fans, rightfully so, have this bias towards, well, if the team's not that great, Cliff will find a way to make them great. And they're 100% right when they say that. And, yes, the media members know this, but you can't just base past teams or this team based off past teams.
There's so many new faces. And they may end up being one of the all-time greatest teams to ever play.
Yeah. And
but we just don't know that right now.
And, when you mentioned teams finding their groove, I'm going to go back to 2021. And I know this is basketball, but look at that UCLA team who kind of struggled early in the year. And then they get stuck in Dayton in the first four, and they ride it to the Final Four. And at the time, we said, they were just hot. Well, the next year, they have the exact same roster, and they come out and they're like a 2 or a 3 seed in the tournament, and they played the way that they played from about mid-February on through the Final Four the entirety of the next season with the exact same core group of Jaime Jaquez, Tiger Campbell, the big kid 34, can't remember his name. So to your point, Patrick, it's all about how long it takes it to gel, and you just need it to gel by the right time in the season.
If you do have a team that has a lot coming back on their roster, you probably feel, and had a lot of success, you probably feel pretty good about that. What was Duke, 7 or 8 in the preseason basketball poll? I think if you were,
you're back half.
If you were filling out a bracket right now, like the office pool or whatever, you'd probably have Duke to get to the Final Four right now. That could change. So now, I know that's not a huge leap. Okay. They were seeded or they were preseason top 8, top 9.
Yeah.
You got them going to the Final Four. Don't get out there on that limb too far. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Lunardi, yesterday's the latest bracketology, had them as the number 2 overall in that top right bracket across from Auburn.
Yeah.
Who they've already beaten.
Yeah. All right. Big thanks to Jay Sunalder for being on with us today. We'll be on at 4 o'clock tomorrow with Coach Logan and more. Also, we will be back in the morning on Talk of the Town. Logan Zone tomorrow at 5 right here. And then we'll wrap it up on Friday with the PJ Show. We're planning some good guests and special things for you on that day. All right. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody. And we'll catch you in the morning on TOT back here 4 tomorrow for the PJ Show.